Goal Getting Podcast, episode 19.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook and 30-day free trial at www.goalgettingbook.com. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
People are almost trained to come in and want me to tell them, here's what you need to do. And one of my favorite things that's been a soundbite over the last couple of years is I don't have a plug and play because there's no cookie cutter approach here because people aren't cookies, right?
Hello, goal getters. Do you have these negative, limiting beliefs that keep you from getting the goals you set? Well, let's listen to the Goal Getting Podcast and turn them into positive, success-seeking beliefs and thoughts. Change your subconscious mind and get the goals you're set. This is Tony Woodall with the Goal Getting Podcast, and we're going to show you how. You can succeed. Hello, Goal Getters. Welcome back to Goal Getting Podcast. I am your host, Tony Woodall. I'd like to thank some of our listeners for your great review on iTunes. A great, inspiring show by Yannick I from Switzerland. It doesn't take much to set goals, but achieving them is a completely different thing. Thanks for this podcast, Tony, and for helping us listeners getting to our goals. It was really funny. I was looking at my downloads one evening and I noticed I had about 30 downloads from tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. And I was wondering if I was going back to the future or something, but then it hit me. I must have a lot of listeners in Europe or other places where it is already tomorrow. And, that's wonderful. That is so great. And I want to thank you, Yannick I, for being one of them. And thanks for leaving the 5-star rating and the great review. It is my goal here on the Goal Getting Podcast to help all of our listeners to get the goals they set. And if I can help you further, please leave a comment on our show notes pages. And you can find the shows and the show notes pages for each episode on goalgettingpodcast.com. Again, that's goalgettingpodcast.com. And if you like our show, or if you don't, please let me know. Leave a rating and a review on iTunes. I'm going to put a link to iTunes so you can get there easily on this episode's show notes at goalgettingpodcast.com/Beau. That's Beau is B-E-A-U in lowercase. So it's again, goalgettingpodcast.com/Beau, B-E-A-U. So I appreciate your listening today, and we have a great guest, Beau Henderson. Beau is a friend of mine from Atlanta. Beau has some great value to share with us today about living the rich life. Have you ever felt like you're sleepwalking through life and there's supposed to be a whole lot more than what you're actually experiencing? Well, Beau's going to share with us how 10 investments to true wealth can help us live a rich life. And Beau will be offering a free gift during today's show, so stay tuned and learn how you can get it. So let's get on with the show. Hello, Goal Getters. This is Tony Woodall, your host with Goal Getting Podcast, and I am so excited to have as a guest on our show today, Beau Henderson. Beau Henderson is a financial advisor and a syndicated radio host and best-selling author. He writes and speaks internationally, helping people create success with both money and life. The new release of his best-selling book, The Rich Life, 10 Investments for True Wealth, can be found at www.richlifebook.com. And I want you to know that Beau is a longtime friend of mine. We've known each other, 7 or 8 years now, and we're active in BNI in the Atlanta area many years ago. So we've grown to know each other quite well. And, I've worked with Beau on a financial advisor basis and highly recommend him to my friends. And Beau, thank you for coming on the show today, and it's good to talk with you again.
Hey, Tony, it's so exciting to be back and us reconnecting because, like you said, we did have some things together here on the East Coast, and now that we're on opposite coasts now, it's so nice to see, as we talk about things, how they've progressed over the last several years. And I see you out there doing all kinds of speaking and this great podcast. And it seems like everybody's life's getting a little richer.
Yes, absolutely. And, I remember when meeting you one time for lunch back on the East Coast, and you started telling me about the rich life and what it was. And, at the time, I just don't think I really got it. And, as I'm getting older and after some of the things I've been through in life, I'm starting to understand a little bit more, I believe. So can you do us a favor, on the Goal Getting podcast, we're all about achieving goals and, setting goals and, having a good life because of that. And, I want you to kind of enlighten us as to what is the rich life and what do you mean by that?
Well, your response, Tony, is not uncommon. And the hardest part, the Rich Life mission has been something I've been working on for 8 years. The hardest part has been putting it together so that you understand you bring together both the financial aspect and the bigger holistic aspect of true wealth. And so the best way I can describe it is 7 or 8 years into financial planning, everything I'd been taught about how to present financial planning, everything we've been marketed to as, we bought into things, and I think most people still do today, that if I have enough stuff, I'll be content or I'll be happy, or if I have enough money, I'll be happy. And I just realized as I worked with more and more people, and once it passed about 3,000 clients, I realized that what was really happening in real life was very different from maybe what we were being sold or what we were being taught. And that maybe the point of money, because we all have to deal with money. So we're here talking about all kinds of goals, business goals, life goals, family goals, physical goals, but we all got to deal with money. So it's something we can't ignore, and it's something we can't get away from. But maybe my job was not to be like the other 100 financial advisors in my city. Maybe I was better suited to help people get crystal clear on what it was that lit them up and made their life meaningful, and then use that skill set I developed as a financial planner to utilize their assets and resources to honor that definition of a rich life that each individual comes up with for themselves. A little bit different approach.
Yeah, it sounds like it from most of the financial planners I've ever dealt with.
Well, for sure. And because a lot of times people are almost trained to come in and want me to tell them, here's what you need to do. And one of my favorite things that's been a soundbite over the last couple of years is I don't have a plug and play, because there's no cookie cutter approach here, because people aren't cookies, right?
Good. Now, you mentioned something about having a mission, and a mission. I've heard you talk about having a mission bigger than you. Can you enlighten us a little bit about that?
Well, I think, and again, in the context of goals, I think this mission conversation is important. For me, the Rich Life brand and this mission around this it was to help people. The mission was to help as many people as I possibly could stop sleepwalking through life and live their definition of a rich life. So when I had a mission that was bigger than me, it wasn't about how Beau felt that day. Am I tired? Am I ill? Am I sad? Did somebody hurt my feelings? It got bigger than Beau. And as I went to make decisions and I went to work towards goals and things like that, it was all about, will it help the mission? Will it help reach more people, help more people stop sleepwalking through life? So I think that's relevant with goal setting, because let's take it back to something, Tony, like I want to lose 40 pounds. That's a great goal. But what if you get something bigger than that? It's I want to lose 40 pounds so I have the energy to go out and help teach 500 people about financial literacy, or even probably a more worthy, just as big a accomplishment. I want to have the energy to raise these 3 kids. Some bigger mission.
Very enlightening. Yeah, that's very true. And I think I've seen, and many people walk, like you say, sleepwalking through life. They're just going to and from work. I ride BART every day, going to and from the office. And a lot of times you just see people on there and that's just all they're doing is kind of just, and actually sleeping on BART. But, they're just going through life and they have no feeling in them that I can tell of going anywhere other than just back and forth to work. And, it just doesn't seem to have a mission bigger than them. And that's, I've kind of been through that myself in the past. And I think, like I said, as we get older, we start thinking and pondering a little bit more about, whether or not we are living a rich life or a passionate life, as we've talked about before. So you've written a book recently. You got a new release of your book, The Rich Life, 10 Investments for True Wealth. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the 10 investments for true wealth. Again, I took cues from people that had lived a long, meaningful life. These were clients in their 60s and 70s, and they taught me things that I might not have thought in my 20s and 30s, and even going into my 40s now. And it's that true wealth is not all about money. Yes, a component of it's money, as we talked about earlier. If we have that financial stability and that peace of mind, it makes all these other things much easier. We can all probably relate to that. But true wealth, one of the studies when I was studying for or prepping for a radio show, dug into some of the academic research, and one of the most recent studies of one of the biggest fears of retirees. It's always been outliving your money. Now, more recently, what's come into play is understanding your health care. But one that I thought was very meaningful, no pun intended, was retirees were worried that their life would not be meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. And that kind of keeps circling back. And that's what a lot of the book is about. So we might have one investment about getting very clear on where you're starting financially as far as knowing your numbers. Mm-hmm. But then another investment, we're looking at making sure we're investing in the most meaningful relationships in our life, making sure we're investing to create memorable experiences, because people hands down will tell you those are the things that are most valuable later in life.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with that myself. It's a lot of the things I do now on the times that I have available to just go out and do things, creating experiences that I've never done before, or seeing things that I haven't seen before. It's one of the things with moving out in California. I get to see a lot of the things that I'd never had before. And actually starting the job that I got here in California, I had to drive cross country to get here. And I was just amazed as I drove, unfortunately, way too fast to get here. What a beautiful country that we have, that I wished I had done that when I was younger and taken my sweet time to get across the country and look. And, so those experiences like that, to me, I agree, are what is very important in life. And like I said, as I get older and start thinking about it, I hope to do more of those. So,
well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you brought up a good point. As just that trip analogy was even in a shorter term goal.
Mm-hmm.
If we're so focused on that outcome, we might just miss the point, because really all the growth and all the lessons and all the good stuff really happens in that journey to that goal.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about that lately, so that's very true. It's not necessarily the final destination. It is the journey that along the way.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point, Beau. Thank you. It's a very good value bomb we have to, you guys, goal getters, you need to pay attention to. I like that. And I think you need to, focus on that a little bit more in your life, enjoying your journey. Don't just focus on, the goal itself, focus on the relationships and the journey and the experiences as you go along. That's excellent, Beau. Now, you also do have a radio show, and what do you talk about on a radio show? I hadn't had the opportunity to listen. I know it's available online. You can get there, and tell us a little bit about your radio show and what you do.
Sure. No, as of this year, we're in 10 different markets now, and of course, you can stream online. But it's kind of funny. I laughed when you asked me what do we talk about. It's most of my family and people close to me that say what he always talks about. I talk about the rich life. We take components. The show's a lot of fun because because of the background, I do some financial Q&A and some talking about money, financial planning. But at least half the show, we're talking about these more true wealth aspects of how do we be better leaders? How do we be better communicators in our relationships? How do we do these things that make this holistic, wealthy life? How do we be healthier physically? That's one of the big things, and that's one of the biggest things I'm working on is we call your primary investments your physical health, because if we end up letting that go too long, what's the point if we got $10 million in the bank?
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of my goals this year too. I keep talking about on the podcast that I've got to get down to my goal weight by the end of the year. So that's definitely true, because we can let it go and that was, talking about that same subject in that line. I had achieved my goal of, being the CIO of a mortgage company. I was traveling all the time, but I was eating like crap, and I ended up gaining weight to up to 296 pounds. And when I hit the scale and saw that, I said, oh my God, I'm not taking care of myself, and had to get over that. But we can follow those goals and start thinking about them too hard and really not take care of ourselves. And then you end up sick and not able to enjoy, again, the journey that you've been through. You just start thinking about it. So, that investment of your physical health is very important. That is part of your wealth, I believe. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I can't tell you how many, unfortunately, I've been doing this long enough. I've seen many people that would trade everything they had to be healthy again.
Yep. I can see that. I can understand that completely. So the radio show, where can people listen to it? If it is streamed online, how can people listen to you online?
Sure. If you just go to RichLifeShow.com, there's a directory and there's podcasts there. We can find out more information about where we are.
Oh, okay. Great. I'll have to listen to it. And Goal Getters, if you want to hear some good advice and listen to Beau some more, you can check him out on his radio show there. So I'll have that on the show notes so you can go there and check it out and listen to some more wonderful wealth of information from Beau.
No pun intended.
Say what?
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Now, in reading your book, I was fascinated by chapter 2. That's so far my favorite chapter, talking about clarity and having a purpose and, finding out what your calling in life is. And, your whole book is very action-oriented, action step-oriented. I love the concept of the takeaways and the action steps that you have in there and what you call the portfolio builder.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about those concepts that you have there and how they can help people.
Well, let me speak to the clarity piece since you brought that up, Tony.
Okay.
I think that's a starting point for everything we're talking about, goals. And the book does a lot of parallels between money and life because most of the principles are the same for both. And one of the things I tell that blows people's mind is that we actually tested this over 2,000 people that came in, and only 1 out of 20 actually knew their numbers. They knew their income and expenses. They knew what was coming in and what was going out. Mm-hmm. And it's no wonder if only 5% of people know where they're starting, why people are in such bad shape, because we can't get anywhere, or we can't even come up with a plan to get to a goal if we're not really honest and real about where we're starting. Mm-hmm. So that clarity piece, I think, is just a key element of everything we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say I'm a minority. And I'm going to be reading and paying attention and taking some action steps on that.
And that's what those portfolio builders you're referencing do, is through the course of the book, I try to lay it out in a way that if there's a you can download a workbook, so you don't have to write in your book if you don't want to. But by the time you work through the book, you've raised your financial IQ. You've created both at least the basis of a financial plan and a life plan, a life goals plan. And then you take that to somebody like you, a coach, and or somebody like me, a financial advisor, and at least you're coming to that conversation prepared and aware of what you even want to talk about, so that you now are a participant that co-creates your plan instead of most people that just kind of blindly trust people that might happen to have a credential or some authority position.
Okay. Very good. Now, you mentioned something about a workbook. Is that included with the book, or?
Yes. If you look at the action exercises at the end of each chapter, it'll say go to RichLifeActionGuide.com. And there I just put a PDF so that you'd have all the action exercises in one place. Okay.
So it's RichLife Workbook?
Action Guide.
RichLifeActionGuide.com.
Right.
Okay. So again, I'll put that in the show notes, Goal Getters, so that you can get to that link and go out there and look at the action guide and start following those actions and taking some action steps to help build your true wealth. So, Beau, we talk about goal setting, and you've been, very informative here and a very big help. And, we talk about habits, and I know you've got some great habits to help yourself in your personal life. Can you share some of your personal habits that help contribute to your success that others might be able to use?
If I had to pick a biggest habit that's helped, and just for some context, a lot of people ask me why I'm so positive and why I'm so optimistic. It's I'm doing these things because life is hard, and if I'm not careful, I'll let the negative thoughts and everything come in. So it's almost a proactive defense. A lot of the things we do, or I do, just to stay positive in the best frame of mind to create the most favorable conditions to do things like achieve goals. But I think one of the biggest things, Tony, I could say, if I could put it in one thing, it was whenever I feel fear, worry, doubt, all those fear-based emotions, scared, whatever it is that has no good outcome, I've learned to use that as a trigger to turn to gratitude. And that habit of turning to gratitude, I can always find, even in the worst day, I can always find something that I'm thankful for.
Right. Yep.
And it could be the clients I have, it could be the friends I have, it could just be that I'm healthy today. But what I realized a while back was if we're not careful, we tend to spend a lot of energy and a lot of time on the things that we don't like, we don't want, that we're scared of, that are easy to complain about. And there's kind of a natural law out there that what we focus on expands. So that's a really bad habit. We focus on all these things that are negative that we don't want. We actually create more of that in our lives by doing that. So the blaming and complaining, I try to be very cognizant of when I hear myself do that. And again, turn to gratitude, because it does the reverse. If I'm focused on the things I'm thankful for, it allows the opportunity for me to create more of that in my life. So that's been one of the biggest habits I've been able to do, just to keep me, I'm a big believer that success with money, success with life, the hardest part is us basically success with ourselves and our minds. So, that gratitude's been a big habit that's helped me a lot.
Oh, great. That's a big key. You got to be thankful for what you have, especially life. You never know when you're going to be here the next day. So I like to think, as long as I'm waking up and I'm doing well. So, it's a wonderful day every day. So that's an important step. Thank you. I like that. And we'll take that to the bank with me. So now, we all have failures, and, I think being grateful for the things that we have is something that helps us, get over some of those. But what's one of the biggest failures that you've actually had? We all have them occasionally. And what was the biggest lesson that you've learned from that?
Oh, well, that's not hard for me. I tell people all the time that if it makes you smart by messing up or failing, that I'm pretty much brilliant by now. But no, one of the biggest, if the story is after about the time when the Rich Life message came to play, about 7-8 years into financial planning, business wise and financial terms, things had gone really well. And I decided, I had the brilliant idea, because I knew how to do this business and this entrepreneur thing, that I was going to partner with a contractor, and we were going to develop a 42 house subdivision. And this was perfect timing. It was right about 2007. You decided this?
I laughed because I was in the mortgage business. At that
so
time,
you know the rest of the story pretty much.
I know the rest of the
Contractor
story.
left town. I cleaned that up for the next 5-6 years. And it was very humbling for me. And if nothing else, the big lesson I took away from that was this idea, just because I was good at something, as far as the financial planning, didn't mean I was an expert in real estate.
Right.
And either you build teams that are experts, or you raise your financial IQ in that area, or high risk does not necessarily equal high return. I've kind of changed that with clients to say it's actually wise risk equals high return. Meaning, if you're investing in things you really know about, then it's not near the risk. If it's somebody like me that just thought I could figure out anything, and I'm not even going to tell you the number, but it was a big number. We went in the hole with that. It was a big one.
Yeah, I can understand. Like I said, I was in the mortgage business at that time, and lost my shirt, so I totally understand at that point. So, so at least you learned some lessons, and that's the key. And those are some valuable lessons that you shared with us. So I think we all have failures in life, and the key is not to get down with them and just, like I said, take them as a big lesson, and you did a great job with that. So,
well, one of the lessons, if I can add, as you were saying, that
please.
made me think, is I learned some lessons about partnerships and who you partner with on things and how you need to know people, especially in business, which again carries on to life. Because at that point, mid-20s, I just kind of trusted everybody. So it was a good learn. It was a lesson that I needed to have. It's just what I call one of those very, very expensive lessons to learn.
Yep. And that's a big thing. Partnerships is very, you have to be very careful. So I think we both learned a lesson on that realm at some point in time, then it sounds like. So
sure.
Excellent. No, those are good. So, I know you're big into reading and quotes. I've seen you post quotes in your book and also online. What is a quote that hangs on your wall? What do you have that you use for motivation or inspiration?
I have two passions, that they're human behavior, and they are finance. So this quote, that's my go-to quotes by the father of modern psychology, and William James, and it's, the greatest use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts it. And that's one that just has stuck with me for years.
The greatest use of life
is to spend it for something that will outlast it.
Oh, okay. No, that's very good.
That's William James. Again, that ties back into our conversation around a mission.
Folks, we'll have that on the show notes so you can see that. And, if that resonates with you, print it out and stick it on your wall. Because it certainly makes a lot of sense, and that's something to live by. Again, if you want to have a good mission in life and, live on purpose and not sleepwalk through life, that's a good one to have and to focus on every day. And speaking of books, I know we want everybody to go and check out your book at RichLifeBook.com. But do you have any other books that you read that have meant something to you that you would recommend for people who are trying to achieve their goals? What is a book that has really resonated with you and meant a lot?
Well, that's tough. I read a lot of books, and that's where a lot of my ideas and thoughts and inspiration comes from. A lot of these people that have really gone before, but something, whether it's my team or whether it's I read this book about every year. A good starting place for somebody, especially trying to do something big, I recommend they read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
The War of Art?
The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
I haven't heard of that one.
Read it. I've never recommended that, and somebody didn't think it was just a great place to start. Basically, what the premise that he writes, this is Stephen Pressfield is the author of The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very good writer, but this book is all about when you go to accomplish things in life. He's talking about resistance, and that the things we probably our calling is to, when that resistance faces us, is to realize that's the very thing we need to push through. But anyway, I don't want to try to explain it for him, but anybody that has any kind of a goal or ambition, starting a job, starting could be a health routine or whatever, that's a good first book. That's the first book my advisors that I train in January. That's our January book every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to check that out. See if we can't read that in the near future here. I know I do a lot of reading myself, and I've got a big shelf of books I have to read, and I'll check that one out as well.
It's a quick read. It's a quick read.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate those, and we're getting close to time, and what I would really like to know is, we talk about goals, and what are the top 3 goals that you have this year that you're working on? Obviously, one of them is to, release the launch of your book. When is that being released?
The book is actually launched officially July 6th, and we'll be doing a big push that whole week, and that hits one of the goals. One of the goals is that we hit some of these USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and possibly New York Times list.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big goal, is just to really have a push and get this message out further than we have to date.
Okay. Those are good. And goal getters, if you want to check that out, you can go to RichLifeBook.com, and I assume we can get that. It'll be on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Amazon,
great. Barnes
and Noble. And I tell you what, when I have the paperback, the publisher will be sending me those paperbacks. I'll send you one that you could do as a giveaway for your goal getters too.
Oh, That'd be great. Yeah, we'll do that then. I'll make sure that when I get that, I'll do that. So goal getters, be on the listen for that giveaway there. If you want to, go ahead and fill out the comments. I'll compile all of the people who leave comments for Beau, and we will do a drawing for that book. So if you guys want to go ahead and leave comments on our show notes page at goalgettingpodcast.com/Beau, Beau, we will make sure that your name goes in the hat. And then we'll do a drawing when I get the book, and we'll send it to you and get in touch with you. So thanks, Beau. That's going to be great. Looking forward to that.
No, absolutely. I'd love to. Some of these people working on their goals, I think it'd just be a great compliment.
Yep. Thank you. And like I said, this book will give them a lot of good ideas and, help them go on there. And like I said, I love the action steps. And that's one of the keys that we talk about in goal setting and goal achievement on the Goal Getter or Goal Getting podcast is to, make sure you have an action plan. And this just follows through with our, process that we talk about. So I appreciate that. The one thing I want to know, this is again some parting words of wisdom that you may have for us. What is the best advice that you can give our listeners who are trying to achieve our goals? Some, parting words of wisdom from Beau Henderson.
Absolutely. One of the, if I gave a parting word of wisdom, it would be, let's maybe do a mind shift, and let's possibly look at life like a school. And if we look at life like a school, there's three things that will be very helpful. Number one, in life school, there's no mistakes. There's only valuable lessons. We've kind of hit on that a couple times, Tony. Mm-hmm. And the second part of life school is a lesson is going to continue to be repeated until it's learned. That's where we get this definition of insanity thing. People keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The third part of life school is each time a lesson's repeated, it's going to be more painful for us. Mm-hmm. So the thing I love about life school is when I was able to make that shift to think about life that way, if I woke up in the morning and things were going great, thank you so much. I've got so much to be thankful for. But mm-hmm. if I woke up in the morning and things were tough, there was people I dreaded seeing and all this, I could now say, thank you. There's a lesson I need to get through here as quick as possible mm-hmm. to move on.
Excellent. Life like a school. And I'm going to have to pay attention to that and take my dunce cap off and pay attention to those lessons. And, there are so many lessons out there. And, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing that. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for our friendship and that we've kept it up so long. And unfortunately, we haven't talked enough. And my goal this year will be to change that, to make sure that we stay connected and get together a little bit more often. So if there's anything that we or the Goal Getters can help you with, let us know. We'll hopefully have them leave some good comments for you on the show and the comment section on our show notes, and I'm sure you'll get back with them if they do. And, I've enjoyed speaking with you again, Beau, and touching base, and, look forward to reading the rest of your book and helping you get that out there and get the rich life out there so that people can live that rich life.
Well, thank you, Tony. You've always been so great to add value. And for you and your Goal Getters, anytime I can be a resource to add value, just let me know.
Well, I appreciate it, and have a great week, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Beau. Wow, Goal Getters. Beau gave us some great information today, and I know you learned a lot. And as Beau mentioned, he recommends The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. I know you are a lot like me and you like to read great books, and if you commute like me, audiobooks are a great way to get those books in during the commute. For the listeners of Goal Getting Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you an opportunity to check out their service. To download your free copy of The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, go to goalgettingbook.com. Again, that's goalgettingbook.com for your free audiobook. I'd like to thank my good friend, Mark Sensinger from marksensinger.com. Mark created Baccarat, the music you just heard, for the Goal Getting podcast. And I really want to thank Mark for that. If you need any type of music, Mark is an excellent composer. He's done some things for Boston Pops, done a few things for other orchestras in the New England area. Go visit marksensinger.com and check out some of the great work that he's done. And he can do it for you. He can provide you with music for a bar mitzvah, bachelorette party, or your own wedding tune. You know, that would be a wonderful thing to have your own wedding composition created by an artist like Mark Sensinger at marksensinger.com. So Mark's a good friend. Check him out. Go visit him and his webpage and see if he can write something for you like he did for us at Goal Getting Podcast with that great piece, Baccarat.